Destruct sequence has been initiated.
Here we go. It's time for a podcast. All right. And 3, 2, 1, and here we go. All right, let's hide that. Oh, I always do that. Okay, here we go. Hey everybody. Welcome tonight for our podcast, Star Trek DS9, Season 1, Episode 9. The Passenger is over. And it has been since February 21st of 1993, but we are getting started. We're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast. I'm Dave Mader, joined with my brother Jeff Mader and our friend Jaemeel Robinson. How are you doing, guys?
Good.
We're here streaming live on Facebook. Oh, I didn't hear from you, Jaemeel. Hey,
doing well.
Doing well, sir. Yeah. Good. Hey. Streaming live here on Facebook. We're also on YouTube, on audio. Welcome to everybody, however you're consuming this. And yeah, we're here in our Star Trek DS9 rewatch, and it's time to talk about The Passenger, the ninth episode. Okay, Jimmy, I want to hear from you first. You said you watched this twice in a row. You just watched this twice in a row, so I think
I watched it yesterday. Actually, so this is the third time I've watched this episode in so many of days. I know people don't particularly like this episode, but I didn't find it like super bad. It was kind of by the numbers. Performances were kind of up and down, but I think that has more to do with not really having a good grasp of where we're taking the characters.
One sec, Jaemeel. 1 sec. Sorry, man.
Is my volume low?
No, keep talking. Just keep
Okay.
talking. Yeah.
So there's some interesting things
Sorry about that.
come up.
I had to mute that TV.
No problem. There's some interesting things that, like they kind of put together there, but overall, it's like a by the numbers episode of the week. You can skip it.
It kind of reminds me of an episode of like Supernatural, where it's like the ghost of the week, and it jumps into the guy, and the crew's got to figure out what's going on. That's kind of what it's. This easily could have been like a Supernatural script. I mean, it's like what is it, 10 years before Supernatural even debuted, but it feels, maybe it's just I'm watching a lot of Supernatural right now or something like that, and I'm just seeing it. But for me, this is like a monster mystery episode.
Exactly right.
Oh yeah, I guess so. I think just part of the syndicated TV model that they were trying to go for is that sometimes they were just going to tell smaller stories. That was what they had kind of established. That's what Michael Piller had really established on The Next Generation, and that's what he was trying to bring here to Deep Space Nine as well. So I think they wanted to show, we can show these. They're not quite bottle episodes. There's a little bit of production in this, but not much. And so and also it gives it gives this actor Sadiq Alexander Sadiq a chance to maybe show off his acting chops or not, depending on how what your take is on it. Your mileage may vary. Jeff, how did you feel about this whole mystery aspect of this episode and this villain? He's such a villain. He's so evil, this guy.
Yeah, that's my problem with the episode. Like I don't dislike it or love it. But I feel like Alexander Siddig's performance is, like Jaemeel was saying, it's all over the place. And you could tell right from after the credits, his demeanor changes. Obviously makes sense because he's playing what's his name, the evil guy. What is the evil guy's name? I don't even know.
His name is he's a Kobliad. They said his name Rao Ventika.
Okay. Yeah, so when he changes into that guy, you could see he's not quite as dweeby. He's a little bit more serious. You could see it in his performance. So at least I appreciate that he thought about kind of how he was going to maybe try to play Bashir a little bit differently, but he still couldn't give away the ending as well. So and we're so new to Bashir at this time that you don't really think much of it, I'm guessing, on first viewing back in 1994, but 93. But in retrospect, you kind of see it coming almost right away, because he's not consistent. And so that's what I took the most from it. I love Alexander Siddig. He's one of my favorite people on this cast, but it took him some time to find his sea legs as an actor on the show.
Maybe little longer than perhaps Jedzir, who we've been saying was kind of the novice actor of this crew, but maybe
that was the that was the
Yeah.
other thing I kind of wanted to say was that I feel like Alexander Siddig was given like the rushed script, and they spent a lot more time on the Dax episode because like what you're referring to, Dave, is that she was this new actress, and I feel like they really kind of took the time, probably shot it over a little bit, maybe one more or 2 more days than they shot this episode because they knew Alexander Siddig was a good actor and that they could kind of trust him to kind of carry the script, which I just think there wasn't enough energy and time spent into this episode, so that's why it's maybe one of the more forgettable ones.
But what did you really learn about like Bashir as a character from this episode? Not really much. That he's pretentious and full of himself from the opening.
Yes.
He's a big goofball that hits on Jedzia, and not much. Like
got some good quotes here for Bashir at the beginning.
I impressed myself on that one, actually.
He's such a cocky
talent, I suppose.
Yeah, he's such a cocky little like shit. Like, you know, like that's who he is. Kira's even like, Jesus, like turn down the notch a bit there. Like that's Kira saying that. She's pretty, confident woman. You know, like
I was very impressed, Doctor.
And well, you should have been.
Like, come on.
Who wrote this?
He's turned all the way up to 11. Like
Who would ever be like? I know he's genetically enhanced that we find out later and all these things, but his demeanor is almost like off the charts. Like this is a 27-year-old man, a doctor, somebody who lives in society, is a Starfleet officer, and is completely like aloof.
But wouldn't you be under the impression that if he was alone with Kira, he would have like tried hitting on her?
He never seems interested in Kira, which is really interesting because they got married in real life. But like it's strange, yeah. Like they never seem interested in each other, and you know what? I think it makes sense because Kira and Bashir are so different as characters. For them to have gotten engaged romantically, like I just don't know if it would have worked. Like,
but I would have liked to see like even that moment of attempt. Like, okay, Kira's nice. She's paying him a compliment, and he just totally ignores that and just goes the other way.
Yeah, he's like, I am pretty awesome, aren't I? Yeah, you're right. You're right, Kira. I am pretty great.
Jaemeel, the guy who wrote this episode, Morgan Gendel, he wrote a couple different stories in Star Trek, only about 4 episodes, including The Inner Light, which is a season 5 episode of Next Gen, which is the one with the flute, like doo 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 doo. That's like probably his best story. In comparison, this is not as strong.
Well, I think I did a little research reading up on this exact script. He had this like elaborate 5 part type of storyline where a different character was Altahir or I already forgot the villain's name, even though they're
man, you gotta make me pronounce. They say it 1,000 times, like Rao Vanka. Rao Vanka.
They really try to make it a thing, and even we who like Star Trek and this show quite a bit don't care.
I wonder if they'll ever bring back Rao Vanka. I want the guy who won't die. He just won't die. He's done everything.
They should bring Rao Vanka back. Everyone will be like, who?
The Wrath of Rao.
The Rao?
Deep Space Nine movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the story nobody's been ready for. That's the Deep Space Nine sequel everyone's clamoring for.
That would be the insurrection of Deep Space Nine movies. It would be like, why is this a thing?
Well, interesting little fact about that is the writer actually wanted Quark to have a song to sing during this actual episode, something like The Hobbit. But he felt like it wouldn't work and it would get laughed out of the writer's room if he actually brought it up. But I would have loved to see Quark have a little, interlude song. That'd be interesting.
Well, was it this episode where he says the Raktajino machine line?
Well, not this episode. He talks about Raktajino like a lot to Jadzia when you have that initial, here's a Raktajino.
But she doesn't. I think Odo says that in one scene. Hold on, I gotta find that.
He does at the beginning, but it's also like last week was also the first reference to Raktajino, but they really kind of make it more of a thing in this episode.
Gotta
Which
make
is
it
also
happen.
funny, kind of going back to last week's episode with Dax, you were mentioning the writer, Dave Morgan Gendel, and he also wrote for Law and Order, which we were comparing last week's episode so much to an episode of Law and Order. So it's kind of funny that this
Or
is-
LA Law or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a procedural law show. Okay. Yeah. Which one do you guys want to talk about? Like the villain in Rao Vanka? Or do you want to jump to that scene with Odo and Quark, talk about the Raktajino machine?
Go to the Raktajino.
Yeah,
so-
it's
okay.
Raktajino.
It's
a lot
too
more
good.
meat for that bone.
Hold on, I got it right here.
Service, day or night.
Thanks.
For a woman, she's obviously infatuated with me.
You're deluding yourself.
There's nothing wrong with a good delusion. I sell them upstairs to dozens of people every day. Besides, there is something in her eyes when she looks at me.
An allergic reaction, no doubt.
I think she's
Like it's, they threw a lot of Quark and Odo in this first season.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they knew it worked. They knew this dynamic worked, and they kept going back to that well, and it works, and it's fun. It's like you said. It's like you asked us, what do we want to watch? Something with the Rao Venko, who the episode is about, or would we rather watch these two banter about getting horny over Dax? And I think the answer is pretty clear. We want to see the guy with the big ears go after Dax. That's all we care about in this episode.
Did you know?
but I'm the one
One
with
with
the
the
Raktajino
Raktajino
machine.
Supply and
She
demand.
seems to prefer spending most of her time alone, which I understand perfectly.
Then that must make her the perfect woman for you.
I wouldn't intrude on her privacy, as some would.
You're pathetic. You think everyone in the galaxy should be as lonely and as miserable as you are. As hard as it may be for you to understand, some of us like company.
I don't know how he talks through those teeth. I don't know how he can talk through those teeth.
I don't get how he does it either. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I like just some great thing. Yeah, I think that this whole villain thing is a bit of a turnoff in this episode, really, because the way she describes him, like I don't know if I can
Unstoppable
find
force.
that.
Well, can we just talk about that first scene though, and like they're on the alien ship or whatever,
Yeah,
and then she's like, "No, don't open the door." No, this is before this, but like she tells him like I'm not kidding, like 8 times.
started the fire to escape.
He's dying. Where's the
Right here,
override?
she's like, "Don't stop anything but that."
Stop.
no, wait, it's Rao Venka.
That's right, thank you. You don't understand. He's like, "Shut up, woman." He's
I assure you, in this condition, he's of no threat to anyone.
No, it's Rao Venka.
It's Ralvenka. You don't understand Ralvenka.
What, like he couldn't put out the fire? You couldn't drag him out of the room? Like
No, he can't.
No,
But here
no.
comes firefighter Kira to save the day.
Maneuvering subsystems are out. I've managed to stabilize the structure.
Oh, he
with
puts the
safety
hyper
field.
spray.
I
Okay.
don't know how long it's gonna last. We'll have to tow it in.
His synaptic field is dissipating. I can't get a neural reading. I have to get him to the emergency unit on the runabout.
Computer, for to transport.
you're trusting the tricorder, Bashir?
No, they taught you that in medical school.
How strong is this guy?
He's Rao Venka. He is so strong. He is guilty of genetic manipulation and all kinds of crimes you couldn't even imagine.
But like, can we just rewind a second? So they transport onto the ship without checking the air integrity at
Yes.
all?
Yeah,
Like,
because when they get on there, they're coughing like mad, right?
Pressure
Right.
must be offline.
And then-
Check the central power linkage.
And she's like, "I gotta get out of here, so you can go take care of that girl."
yeah.
But like,
they
what?
transport the people out.
They can bring like a little gas mask with them, right? Oxygen or something.
But
They're
they
in the
transport people
future,
out.
right? This is still the future.
The shields weren't up. Transport them out.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Michael Gambon, I don't know what he was thinking. He thought this was an episode of Law and Order, and it doesn't make sense, you know. It's not- it's not-
Ralvenka is is like this, like monster, superhuman monster that apparently can transfer bodies, and
Oh wait, no.
I'm a doctor.
Look how fast she reacts to this hypo spray. It's before it even touches her skin.
that is some prime acting. Just the eyes alone.
You gotta wait a second. They teach you that at Star Trek acting school. You gotta wait a beat. You know.
Yeah, she did not wait.
You gotta let it circulate through your circulatory system.
And the director wasn't like, "Hey, let's roll that again." He's like, "I think we got it.
We got it.
Done.
Let's get to the Ralvenka, man.
This is all about Ralvenka.
Yeah.
Now I love saying it. I gotta get that as a clip now.
Isn't it Ralventika? I think it's Ralventika.
Yeah, I think so.
Is it? Well, I don't know. We gotta find out.
They pronounce it two different ways during the episode.
Yes.
Everyone pronounces it one way, and then Dax pronounces it Vantika, I think, one time.
Have you run a retinal image?
Where do they say it?
It's been sealed in here.
In retrospect, things missing from this episode. Why wasn't there like a face-off type of scene where Ralvenka's like look in the mirror? It's like face off.
That would have been before that movie.
If he had been Nicolas Cage in Face Off, that was after this. No, Face Off's after this episode.
Quite like 3 years after, at least.
Yeah, a couple years.
John Woo was watching this episode and he's like, Ralvenka, we need a Ralvenka movie, but like maybe two Ralvenkas facing off against each other.
Ralvenka and her character, what's her whatever? They're Kobliads, right?
Yeah.
And Kobliads are a dying race. Is that what it is? And that's this Duridium is used to extend their life?
Yes. That's what you're absolutely
That's what's said, right? So that includes her, because remember she talks later on about using an alpha wave generator to sleep and
so it's the history of them is that they're near extinction. The Kobliad needed Duridium to stabilize their cell structure, which prolonged their lifespans. During the late 2360s, the Federation was working to supply them with the substance, but even despite new deposits opening up in the Gamma Quadrant after the discovery of the Bajoran wormhole, the substance remained too scarce to service their entire population. So they were fucked, basically.
So, I'm trying to understand. This dude is trying to figure out like off the cuff means of prolonging life.
Yeah.
Now she says his life, but it looks like he's just using himself as a guinea pig. So isn't he kind of like a freedom fighter then? He's like, by any means necessary, I'm gonna,
Well, in theory, he could have what Ralvenka could have used his powers for good and could have saved his entire race. He's pretty
selfish, as Ralventika. I mean, I don't know about this guy.
He's a villain.
From her point of view, he didn't really tell his own story.
That's true. He didn't get to defend himself.
Drugs, cryogenics, transplants. As a medical supervisor in a high-security penitentiary, he used prisoners for his illegal experiments in cellular longevity.
So he's like Dr. Death.
He's organized raids on government labs to steal bioregenerative research. I promise you, when he started that fire on board my ship, he had a plan to survive. I'm not sure what that plan was, but I'm convinced it succeeded.
He was able to make a fire as a prisoner on your ship.
Yeah, it's just like the way it's almost like Batman is describing the Joker to the crew of Star Trek DS9.
Oh, it's exactly what it's like. And everyone's like, who's Ralventika? I never heard of him.
Do you mean the Joker? Are you referring to the Joker?
Yeah. Does he clown makeup, has a cards and purple suit, that guy?
Or it's like a Lex Luthor, it's like a supervillain she's describing, effectively. Like, and Star Trek has a few of these villains, but none is so forgettable as Ralventika.
Exactly. I agree.
Ralventika might take the trophy for that one.
Now, Jaemeel, we have a B plot sort of in this episode because we got the shipment of Duridium. We also don't have O'Brien back. He's been out for at least these last 2 episodes. We know that off screen he's in a movie that will go on to be Oscar nominated. I forget its name. What's it called?
Golden Globe nominated.
Golden Globe. Okay. Hey, dialed back. He was only, if he had an Academy Award nominated, he might not have stayed on Star Trek DS9, but he was Golden Globe, so he kept the gig. But he's not around. So what was that movie called?
The Snapper.
The Snapper. And he lost to somebody. You said
Robin
Robin
Williams
Williams.
for Mrs.
Robin Williams.
Doubtfire.
He won for that.
Yeah,
Oh, a
for-
Golden
for
Globe.
Globe.
Golden Globe. Okay, it's Golden
It's
Globe.
comedy musical. So
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so so Cole Meany's not around. So that's apparently why they introduced this other character, Lieutenant
white bread. Sorry.
Yeah. Like from Texas.
He's so generic.
George Primin.
Primin.
Well, he's kind of like a cowboy Starfleet officer. Like he's got a horse and
I don't get Tucker vibes from Enterprise. Tucker was a cowboy.
No, but Tucker's from Florida, right? This guy's from Texas. This guy feels like he rides horses and has a ranch or something. Lieutenant Primin, where is he at? Because he's like not happy with Odo, and this is a series of Starfleet officers who will be, hired to sort of ruin Odo's life. This starts here with Lieutenant Primin. Now they said that they introduced him because Cole Meany's not in the episode and they need someone to give lines to. But I don't know if I buy it because
I don't buy that at all because they say it's all about security too. And it's like Cole Meany had nothing to do with security. And it's like,
and he wouldn't have had these lines with Odo if that had not been going
now
on.
maybe if Worf had been on the show, he would have got this role.
Yeah.
He's more of a security guy.
Well, Worf is later the guy who gets on Odo's case about security. Like when Worf gets to DS9, there's a whole episode about that where Worf tries to get into Odo's business, and Odo's like, "You ruined my day. You screwed up my whole investigation. You're the worst cop ever. Go off and do your stuff now. This is not your job anymore. Bye bye."
Odo's
right?
the police chief, and he gets these like new recruits come in like every now and then. He's like, "Get out of here! Like I'm running the show here. You're not even a part of my police department. Get out of here!" It's like,
well, yeah, and sorry,
the whole situation kind of not work because Primin is not like a loose cannon. Like you have Odo's very like in control, and he seems very like has his eyes everywhere. He's pretty level in terms of his reaction. And then you bring another person who's just basically like, I'm following the rules too. It just doesn't work. Like if he was kind of like, we got to do like, wild stuff to get results. And he's like, I'm going to take your badge. Like they could have had that dynamic, but it just seems like they're both playing like similar roles, but
there's clearly
Starfleet versus like a Bajoran kind of focus.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, this is an integrated crew. You got Starfleet and you have Bajoran militia, and they sort of work interchangeably with each other, and they have an integrated command structure. So, but I understand what Sisko breaks down for Odo in this episode. He's like, well, Starfleet wants their security interests looked after specifically, and so I don't know. They don't have to give this particular storyline to Odo, but they do. I think they like keeping him as sort of this outcast, as sort of this person who's good at his job but doesn't quite fit in. He's an outcast. He's the only one of his species at this point.
Yeah,
the only
and
shapeshifter.
He also says that he likes to be alone. Like he mentions that about Dax. He's telling Quark he's an idiot. Like I mean, they're making him a pretty surly captain, right from the beginning, or constable, I guess you could say.
And not to mention Michael Eddington, who's in between Worf and Lieutenant Primin's here, another sister who ends up being the guy who betrays them to the Maquis. And Odo points out, remember how you hired that Starfleet security officer because your Starfleet didn't trust me? Well, just remind them about that, please and thank you.
Yeah. And like Sisko's like, damn it, you're right. Okay. But I have to do this because orders. It's one thing that annoys me about Starfleet. I find it more in the Picard and the Next Gen, but like it's always like, oh well, Starfleet Command. I mean, they're bringing down these orders. We gotta do it. I mean, it's like I get it. I understand like why they do it, but at the same time, sometimes like especially in Deep Space Nine, where like they're kind of I feel like Deep Space Nine's kind of like their own thing because like they are so Bajoran. Sorry.
They're liaisons, so they should be technically following like Bajoran rule of law or have like a Bajoran focus, or Bajoran should trump their kind of policies.
Right. Yeah, I think that's an important thing to point out. Even though I don't think this episode is that great with Rao Ventika, I think that this particular, I don't think that this lieutenant guy was that memorable. But I think that the dialogue that they have between each other is important for the show.
I mean, he was chatting about it in the bar with that Ferengi Quark. If I could overhear it, so could half a dozen others.
It's hard to keep a secret in a place like this, Lieutenant. It's not a starship.
I understand that.
I'm sure almost everyone knows about the shipment by now. Odo was probably making sure that Quark knows we know he knows.
Not the way they taught us at the academy, is it, sir? If you want my opinion...
Actually, I don't. You and I are guests of the Bajorans, Lieutenant. You don't have to forget what you learned at the academy. You just don't throw it in anyone's face here. If you're really smart, you might even learn a few new things about station security from our constable. Clear?
Very clear, sir.
No. Regarding the shipment.
Right. So I think, he's like, we're guests of the Bajorans. This is Bajoran territory, and Odo is their person here. So you need to, even though he's not Bajoran, he works for the Bajorans. And I think it's a good conversation to remind ourselves about what this station is. And I think how Sisko stands up for Odo here. I think he has to stand up for Odo multiple times because I guess the running storyline is that Starfleet always doesn't want Odo. They don't think they want one of their own guys for whatever reason.
But Sisko trusts Odo, and you kind of see it constantly being brought up by Odo in I believe our second episode or third episode, and then brought up.
Well, it's the one when he gets accused for murder, right?
Yes.
That one,
Yeah, that one's early, and
Sisko says he's like, I believe you, and he's like, I wouldn't believe me.
yeah. He does.
You just met me yesterday. What are you talking about?
Right? But
Yeah.
you see, Sisko's pretty consistent in terms his belief in Odo and what he can do, and he stands
Right.
up for him right here again. And then when, as we're gonna get to Odo's confrontation with Sisko, it kind of goes totally in Odo's favor, and Odo's like, okay, like kind of surprised.
Yeah, because he doesn't get to be surly, and that's like what Odo does. I mean, Odo's always upset about something, so when he gets his way, it's weird. It's weird to watch it sometimes with Odo, but yeah. At the same time, like this episode's supposed to be like the Bashir episode, and I have to say, like some of the action in this episode and the choreography is terrible.
Yeah, I got a few things to say about that. Okay, this whole scene where Quark gets jumped by we know it's Bashir as Rao Ventika, and we're like, it sounds exactly like Alexander Siddig.
Yeah.
At this hour.
Yes, and I contacted some very reliable soldiers of fortune in anticipation of your arrival.
And you can totally tell it's Bashir when he throws him.
I was told you were dead.
Almost, but not quite.
Watch when he throws him. You see it.
You should have started talking in parcel tongue too.
I mean, it's pretty clear Alexander Siddig is no James Doohan.
Yeah. No, who else is? Yeah, it's not. They think it's the bounty hunter lady at this point, right?
Yeah. Well, technically, in the original story, she was supposed to.
Yeah, you can see it's him. They should have just used the body double for that shot. But at the same time, apparently they were originally for that scene he was supposed to use his British accent, but they decided not to do that.
Well,
Instead,
he did an entire episode with a totally different tone of voice.
Yes.
And they said it was so horrible that they had to redub everything.
Yeah.
And we got what we got.
Yeah, he wanted to use like more of his British accent, and I guess they did, and they shot a bunch of it, and they were like, "This is terrible."
Wait, what accent is he using the rest of the time?
He went back to like more of an American accent, but he does act differently as Rao Ventika, but he was supposed to do like a totally different voice, and because it was like, I don't know, Alexander Siddig was he's doing his whole acting choice thing. They were like, you know what, this isn't working out.
It's an interesting choice. At this point, he's Siddig El Fidel. So hey, Sid. I don't know about that one, man. I don't know who the director of this episode is. I guess it was.
I had it before.
Paul Lynch. Hey, he says, "Hey, man, you know,
this is terrible." And we're gonna need you to go another way.
Yeah, I got some notes here from Rick Berman. He said, "Stop doing that now."
If I could replace you, I would. And I do kind of feel that way with Bashir of the main cast. Okay, this was the episode I watched back, and I was like, were they contemplating killing Bashir in this episode? Because were they like, do we need a new doctor? Is this guy working out? Because the first like 8 to 9 episodes with Bashir were really bad. I mean,
do you know medical? Do you have any medical history? Because we got a spot open for you. We could.
We just don't find you believable.
And didn't Alexander Siddig get depressed because no one liked his character and whatever, and no one liked the show, right? Like that the show was, not getting good ratings early on and was, criticized heavily as not as good as the Next Generation, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know what the hell they expected sometimes. They made this Bashir character unlikable very intentionally.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I think they thought they needed an unlikable character on the cast, so everybody else seemed more likable. That's kind of what that's my theory anyway. I don't know if that's true. You can't make them all rosy, and it's supposed to be a darker show, but yeah, no, he's dweebish. He's the guy you would make fun of, he's just, there's something about Bashir that just doesn't work in this first season, and it just shows in an episode like this. Dax is way better character at this point. So is Odo. So is Quark.
All Dax does is be quiet and sit there, and
she's still more interesting.
Yeah,
she has a little bit more to do in this episode. They let her expand a bit more. She cracks the science case here, and she does this.
What ties does Bashir have to anyone in this series? He has no friends.
Yeah,
we at this point he's had
No.
a couple of hookups, we assume.
He's flirted with Garrick.
Yeah, Garrick wants to fuck him. We already know this.
When he was talking about his challenges of getting second place in the school finals, not failing because he figured it out at the last second before finals is over, the test. It was 2 episodes ago, I believe.
Right. Yeah, he first drops that, and then later on that they expand upon that in the one where he's in the dream world or whatever, and all the crew represent his different personalities. That's a good Bashir episode.
Bashir just wants to have sex with whatever moves. That's all he cares about in this, especially this first season.
But not Kira.
Not Kira. Kira's out of the question, even though he marries her in real life. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, you're right, Jaemeel. I would have liked to see him at least try, and then Kira shut him down. She inevitably would have shut him down.
Yeah, that would be at least something for him to do, and we can kind of cringe at him failing or laugh at him failing.
It could have been really funny, for sure. But instead, what they do with him and Kira is him brag about how smart he is. And she's all like, "Oh yeah, you're not that smart. Okay, you have no humbleness to you whatsoever." He's like, "Yeah, I don't care."
Can we talk a little bit more about Quark, because Quark serves this role as this middleman here. He's basically, and his main role is to hire mercenaries to help Rao Ventika take over this freighter with the Duridium. But Quark, I know, is running a black market. That's one thing, but to have to aid and embed in theft like this, and do those mercenaries kill that bridge crew?
I'm pretty sure they do.
I don't think they stun them, right?
The choreography is awful. That whole scene is, go back and rewatch it. It is god awful.
Still and just waits to get shot.
Another guy runs in and just stands there and gets shot.
Go watch it. Why not?
It's something else. Whoever was okay, you're gonna come in here. You're gonna shoot this guy standing still, not moving at all. And
what's the captain doing? What's this uniform they're wearing?
Everything about this is hilarious. This is so B movie. They just beam in. They're like, huh? Who? Oh, it's you. Shoot. Ah! Shoot there in the gut. Another one in the gut.
What happened?
Ah! He flew back.
I don't know. I don't know exactly how energy weapons work, but do they concussively knock you back like that?
Only when you jump.
Okay, in TNG they did have some episodes where people got shot and then they flew back. flew back.
Okay. Yeah, I always wondered, is that because like, ow, it hurts, like I'm reacting to it, or does it actually like push you?
Who shoots for like the belt? Like the first shot, she gets
Han
shot
Solo.
like in the hip bone.
Yeah, because they don't say like, hey, we stunned these guys. So unless I have to assume in Star Trek, unless you tell me that these guys are stunned, that these guys are dead, right? If they're not Starfleet phasers.
They're stealing a whole shipment of Duridium from Starfleet. They're killing those people.
Right, but then they say, okay, go get the rest of the crew. There's another 9 people, and if they resist, kill them. Not so.
Right. Like for instance, in Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country, when they do the whole beam over and then they kill all those Klingons, like the way they show the like the choreography of that and the way the ray guns, like the blood goes everywhere and it's in space and like just like there's no consistency with the way like these energy weapons work or other energy like maybe because they don't want to show blood and because once you show blood, I guess the rating probably goes up.
Wasn't that a Klingon phaser that they used?
Oh, was it? Okay, I'm not sure.
I'm trying to think, which you can kind of
in Undiscovered Country. Do you mean
in Undiscovered Country? Yeah.
Country, did they use a Klingon phaser?
They might
use a Starfleet phaser.
It's all Starfleet. It's just maybe it's because TV to movie it's different, but it's just like I don't know. This episode, reason why I bring that up is because I feel like this episode would have served better with a little bit more violence. I think a little bit more violence, a little bit more shock would have made more sense. Would have made us remember Ralph Antica.
Well, they describe it like he did these genetic experiments and he's done such evil. You can't believe the evil things he's done. It's so much.
I believe his pursuer that she would be completely, let's say, fair in terms of what he has done. Right? One person's liberator is another one's oppressor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if in my opinion, Jeff, to show how badass this man is, if the mercenaries came over and stunned everyone, and then our main man comes over and then starts killing off everyone.
Oh yeah,
get his way. You would see then. This is
okay.
Like
and then if Bashir had to like grapple with that, but they leave that out here.
Yeah, like right here when he beams over and he just kills everybody, that would be amazing. That would have been really cool.
He's not even a part of this initial assault, so they're kind of letting Siddig off, like and the Bashir character off a little bit.
Yeah, they're protecting him. Yeah, from like a great arc. Would have been good.
My favorite part of this entire episode comes at the end, which is after they cleverly figure out that they can somehow know the shield frequency of this freighter that they've been in contact with, and have a electromagnetic pulse to get Bashir back.
Oh, like just like, well, the thing is, like in a lot of Star Trek episodes, you have some pretty good science, like or some pseudo science about what they're trying to do or whatever, and sometimes it's just magic. Yeah. This is more magic science. I know it's all magic, make believe, like none of it's real, but this is a little further dialed up. Just like, well, this is the guy that wrote the Inner Light, the one, the one that takes you back and you live this whole lifetime, and you're like, well, how did these people who couldn't even save their planet and barely got a rocket up, but they were able to invent some kind of technology that could download this whole life story? It doesn't matter. This, you can kind of just suspend disbelief and just kind of go, okay, I guess that that there's things out there I don't understand.
Well, that's the real question for me: is how did the same guy who wrote that episode write this episode? What happened? Like, I'm guessing, like you were saying, Jaemeel, they shot the whole episode and they were like, "This is terrible. We need to overcome this," and then they had to go back and do it, and they were like, "This is the episode you get. Goodbye." That's kind of what I get from this.
Let's look ahead to next week.
Yeah.
Well, supposedly, Alexander Siddig only got like a couple of days to actually learn this entire role. Like the turnover between episodes was so smaller with this particular episode. So I guess that's kind of reflected in his portrayal, maybe. And there was some rewrites in terms of from the original premise to what we got on screen. So I think he got kind of lost in translation.
Mm-hmm. They do a decent amount of things to like misdirect you to not think it's Bashir, like to think it's her, and he's part of like the team that figures it out. So it's not the team that figures it out is not going to be one of them that has the hidden the passenger on board. Passenger like Dexter. Yeah.
All I was thinking of this entire episode. It was like it's Bashir, it's the dark passenger, it's him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like it's kind of an. What else have they done? This has been a device used in science fiction, like sort of like a hidden personality, something that can emerge. They did it in Babylon 5. Watch out with the
Voyager with
Psychops.
Cass. There was one episode with Cass too.
There was, yeah, that's right. The Cass episode, the only good Cass episode, if you ask me. And
This is, like I was saying,
or no,
like,
there's two. There's two good Cass episodes.
this is very much like Supernatural. I mean, he's basically possessed by a ghost.
Yeah.
That's literally what's going on in this. it's Supernatural in Star Trek. And that's what this episode is. And it's
Where it's like, Dean, it's me. Don't you recognize me?
yeah. Yeah, that would have been great if Julian was.
Yeah, this like generic alien mercenary guy is very, and the other thing too. Okay, here we'll just watch a little bit. This is the only time we kind of get to see Sidney Gelfiddle as Rao Vanka.
I'm gonna talk really slowly and
And low.
How do you humans say it? Fit as a fiddle. Looks rather good on me, don't you think?
Oh, jeez.
What have you done to his mind, Vandica?
It was necessary to render him unconscious for the time being.
Shadows in the cover.
However, I might consider leaving his
Yeah,
body
but the
and
shadows did cover his
returning
mouth.
him to you. But first, you must release your tractor beam.
You must release your tractor beam.
I'll
Is this
take
on
this vessel.
like half speed? Like what's going on?
They're like, we have to burn up some seconds here. But okay, the whole thing is like when they finally do defeat him with the magic in a few seconds.
Yeah, when they defeat him with the magic. This is Supernatural.
Do it!
Do it! She's like, all right, hit the button. Oh, hold it. Oh, this is some cringy acting. Like, it really is.
Bashir, answer me. Bashir.
What's going
He's
on?
like, thank God I don't have to do that anymore. That's what he's thinking.
Doctor, lower the shields.
What? What shields? Where am I?
I'll explain later. Lower the shields now.
This man should never get captured. you don't know where
What
you
is that face he's doing?
That's I got something up my butt.
The shields are down. Get him out of there.
This is my favorite part. This is my absolute favorite part. Oh, guys.
It's okay. It's me.
Shoot him anyways. Odo was there.
He didn't hesitate. He's like, kill this fucking guy.
I don't know why you let him say the line. I don't know why they let him speak there. They just shoot him.
Just shoot him right away. Don't even allow that acting in there.
They couldn't even let Odo take him. They're like, nah, I'm gonna shoot him. I'm gonna shoot him where he stands.
Yeah, couldn't have used a force field,
Right, but you see, okay, and you also see here when he's lying on the gurney, right here. Oh, damn it! I keep missing it.
What, his pants?
Yeah, his pants have the little hooks around them.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I need to see it again. Shoot him.
It's
That was the giveaway. The me.
It's Rao
That's
Vantica.
That you knew to shoot.
Should have shot him again just to be safe.
Yeah, should have shot him on the ground.
Well, you see it, like those little hooks that are around his feet. Like that's that I don't think that's supposed to be there.
This episode's the best. It's amazing. It's actually one of my favorites. Just 'cause
Okay, and then she sucks it out with the magic tube.
I'm like, wait, you want to transport part of my brain or like parts of my brain out of my head? What? Time out.
Yeah, I'm the doctor.
Once they're out, he should be back to normal.
Once we get those
Back to normal.
the G cells out or whatever it was.
Are they beaming out?
They're beaming them out. Or something. I don't know. It's magic.
Is this brain surgery in like the 24th century? Is that what this is?
I think Cisco's like, oh, sure. Okay.
He's like, all right. Damn, I wish I wanted to shoot him again. Is what he's thinking. He's like, I'm hating this guy. This guy's annoying.
Yeah, he's back. Yeah, it's just forever. I don't care. Oh, did we get the jerk off who's so full of himself back? Let's hope.
Terry Farrell, walk over to Julian as slowly as you can. Open the tricorder as absolutely slow as possible. Open it. Look confused.
I impressed myself on that one, actually.
Wait, should we trust the tricorder readings?
I don't have that clip. But
a tricorder isn't very good on a dead man. They teach you that in Starfleet Medical.
So
that's the beginning.
Also,
Yeah.
Starfleet has no policy against people killing prisoners in custody.
Absolutely not. No.
Go ahead.
It's Rauventica. He slaughtered millions or something. And
this guy's like the Joker of this alien race. You don't understand, Jaemeel.
Chances we gotta kill him where he stands.
Yeah, she's not very Batman like in that way. That she. Yeah, she kills him here.
Kill, boom.
What's left of him?
Like in front of 3 senior officers, and no one moves.
They really like the ray guns in this episode. They're like, shoot a ray gun, shoot a ray gun. You shoot a ray gun. Everybody gets to shoot a ray gun.
Terry Farrell gives it approval look. That's an approval.
He's like, kill that motherfucker. He's evil. I don't care. I thought Starfleet's not supposed to be for capital punishment.
I know.
They're not.
But they were pretty happy with themselves. Like,
and that's your ending. He's dead, but he was already dead.
They should have killed Bashir off, and then had what's his name, Altika still be in his body, and they just took Bashir out of it. And he's like, "Hey, Bashir's dead. Like this is all me now." That'd have been great.
Yeah, no, I thought that there was a missed opportunity there for there to sort of be another scare. Like, oh no, now it's in, so it's in Jed's ear now or something somehow, right? And now she tries to take over.
But then she laughs. She's like, "I'm in Trill. I'm used to having
multiple personalities
in my body."
Well, that would have been even better if she had played a prank to show like, no, Rauventica's in me. And Cisco just shoots her and goes, I was kidding.
Oh man. He has to say old man before he shoots her.
They should have just played this.
You're saving people hunting things.
Saving people hunting things, the family business.
Family business.
Was it Dad went on a hunting trip and he hasn't been back in a while.
Yeah. Sammy.
Yeah, we all like Supernatural. Why don't we like this supernatural version of Star Trek?
And let's face it,
DC, that's why.
Yeah, there's no ACD, there's no ACDC, and let's face it, the acting is about on par with what Supernatural does most of the time. But Supernatural, they care more. This episode, you could tell, like they did not care about this episode. They're like, get it over with.
They paint the Rio Grande black and have some ACDC in it, and then we'll get somewhere.
Little Kansas, right at the end.
Yeah.
Does Star Trek ever use like a popular song in an episode? Like they would never do that, right?
Not Sabotage. That's only for the movies.
I'm a song in Star Trek. Yeah, other than Faith of the Heart.
Yeah, I mean more like you know how Supernatural always has like Kansas or AC/DC or whatever. Like they never really do that in Star Trek. Eh? Like they never have like a montage. Seems like ever in Star Trek.
No, there's no montage.
I think might have had like someone listening to classical Earth music, right?
Yes, I think definitely like in First Contact, like famously,
Right.
there's Magic Carpet Ride by the Guess Who, and
and that stupid Ooby Dooby song that you play,
and that
all the
Ooby
time.
Dooby song, which I retired from the set. Did I retire that from the soundboard?
I hope I did. I hope you did.
I think I did. I think that I had to retire because Kevin Millard was like, no more,
No more Ooby Dooby. We had
No
enough
more
Ooby Dooby. Is that from Cochrane Music?
We got HMS Pinafore from
Right.
Resurrection, and we got Row Your Boat in
Right.
Search for Spock.
No, it's in Final Frontier.
Row Your Boat.
Yeah, Final Frontier.
It's in Star Trek 5. Yeah, trust me, we're now experts on the Star Trek movies. We've been watching them one after the other every week.
Captain Kirk climbs El Capitan and sings Row Your Boat, all the same movie. And those are the only good parts of that movie. The rest of the movie is no good, no bueno.
You heard as a dance. There was mixed reviews on that.
What was that?
Remember you heard as dance, the distraction? She did
mixed reviews. You're right. Yeah,
it was to mixed reviews. I was a fan, but not everyone was a fan.
There it
back.
is. Why did they pick that song? I'll never understand.
No one knows.
No one
Even
knows.
the writers of the movie thought it was a poor choice. So what can you do?
There's so many better songs they could have picked for that moment. And they're like, I'm a random Roy Orbison song nobody knows.
Oh no, is the next one? Oh, it's not, is it? Okay, guys, it is, isn't it?
The game's
I was looking ahead to next week.
What is the next? What's the next
It's
episode?
this.
Oh, Elmarie and Momo.
Hello.
Elmarine, counted for Elmarine.
Can you tell us where we are?
Elmarine, if you can see. Elmarine,
Is there a way to leave?
Elmarine.
Do you think we're supposed to do something?
Well, this is the first door that's open for us. I want to know where it goes.
Are you all right?
Okay, well, I don't want to spoil it all yet, but that is next week's episode, which is maybe, I think, the worst episode of Deep Space Nine by a lot of, considered to be a lot.
This episode was considered the worst episode, I believe.
But what we just
How can you hate on Ralph Vantica? He's the Joker. He's the Joker. Come on. Oh, by the way, we need to get both of your ratings for this episode.
I'm going to be a lot more generous to this episode. I think it's better than the sum of its parts.
Okay. Well, hey, fair enough. Like, I think it's fine. It's kind of a forgettable episode, but I don't think it's bad. Okay, so this was called. Sorry, what was it called?
The Passenger.
The Passenger.
So once again, I'm getting supernatural vibes from that even title.
Yeah, it really is. It's okay. Let's go to you, Jaemeel, first.
I'm gonna give it a 6.2.
6.2, very specific. Okay. I do have to still look up the IMDb rating. Jeff, do you have a rating for this one?
I'm gonna give it like a 3. That's about all it deserves.
That's tough.
This one's tough. This one's bad.
I'm gonna give it a 5.5. So it's it is what it is. I don't know the IMDb rating of this. I will have to add that later. So I'm just gonna take that out. But yeah,
I enjoyed how bad it was.
So just based on that, guys, this is officially the worst episode we've watched so far.
And I gave the highest rating for it.
And you gave it the highest rating.
I'm typically harsh on these ratings.
Yeah.
You see that now? You see, I think with you, Jaemeel, it's like you got to bring down the overrated ones. You got to bring them back more to earth, and then you give a lot of love to the ones that are pounded on. So I think
I just feel like, okay, there's a lot that I don't like about this episode, but there's like some moments there, like the world building with Odo and Cisco, with Odo and Quark. Yeah, mainly those things that I liked a lot.
This has a 6.4 on IMDb.
It's in line with me.
That is much too generous. It is very much in line with you, yes. But it's.
I felt like it was ho hum, but sometimes we just are really harsh on ho hum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, okay, maybe, and I think, Jeff, you have to reevaluate your rating of 3 for this episode after we watch the next one.
Yes,
because I think that's going to probably be a 1, and like you're gonna say, is this only 2 points better?
I'll reconsider right now that this episode is, I can't give it any more than like a 4. That would be like the highest I could go on it. It's so bad. You could tell, like, things that bother me about episodes are like taking the time to make the episode good. I hate when things are rushed and are just like terrible choreography. Just people just like boom, boom, boom. It's just like,
there's a lot of casual murder and piracy in this episode, but
and not well done. Like, could have been way better done, and like just lazy. I can't abide by it.
Lazy and rushed. And they talk about this like when you come in with a show, like you say, okay, we're gonna come in and we have like our first like 4 or 5 episodes, but it's a 20. Well, I think this season's only about 19 or 20 episodes, but compared to the others, which are about 26. And like by this point, everybody's tired. You're the 9th episode, and it's a rigorous job, and I think it's all taking their toll on all of them at this point, probably more than they realize, because unless they've done a series before.
This episode I think aired. Like they started in January for like
yes, and
DS9.
yeah, they started on January 3rd, and this was February 21st.
We're coming close to sweeps, so this is kind of like the dog episodes before they get to like the sweeps episode. So you can kind of understand why this is one of the weaker ones.
Yeah, and we'll throw Move Along Home into the next one because who cares? Well, we just got to bring it home from the home stretch, right? As we get near the finale. And I think, it's going to be interesting to see as we go through this rewatch how we're going to kind of remember season 1 of Deep Space Nine. Like, I think the thing for me is going to be whether or not I think season 1 or season 7 is my least favorite, or 2. I think it's going to be, probably one of those 3 seasons, with the other, 3, 4, 5, 6 being incredibly strong as far as
Is this your least favorite first season of a Star Trek series?
No, definitely not. I'd have to give that to TNG.
TNG is terrible at the beginning. I mean, the first episode's good. Even
like the original series Star Trek has a better first season than next gen does.
I don't love Voyager's first season other than like the premiere too. Like I like the premiere. A lot of people hate it, but the first season of Voyager is also like just
and my least favorite is definitely Enterprise.
Enterprise doesn't count, Dave. We already know this. Like,
and
it's an afterthought of a show. It's like they're like, we went back. We're gonna go back.
And I don't know where to place Star Trek Picard in the sort of
Discovery. What about Discovery?
Discovery's first season was good until they ruined it.
Better than season 2. So
yeah, no, they ruined it. They needed to do a whole show in the mirror universe. If they had done a mirror universe take for at least more than a few episodes, I think
like a whole series,
like a whole season or something, like where they I would have enjoyed that more.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that there's so much potential still in Star Trek for them to explore. Like there's just this vast universe. All these characters, and there's a lot you can do. And sometimes when you see an episode like this, you're like, come on guys, I know it's like, but this is an interesting space station, like give me a new idea, give me something different.
I don't know, like this episode they had to give Bashir an episode. Like they give one to Dax, they give one to Odo, Kira, Cisco, they give one to all the major players. O'Brien leaves, and they're like, okay, all right, we got to do the Bashir episode. What do you got? What do you got written? We got this weird mystery ghost story. They're like, do that.
Is Alexander Siddig kind of disappointed that Beverly Crusher wasn't there to kind of try to sleep with him because ghosts?
Wait, that
they could have bonded.
What season of Next Gen is the one where Crusher tries to get with the space ghost?
I think it's season 5.
Was it season 5? I thought it was later season.
I think it might be 7.
Oh, it is 7. It's 7. Yes.
Okay, so it's the year after this. Then they did that. They're like, that ghost story works so well with Bashir. We're gonna have back next year with Crusher.
If they had the ghost try to fuck Bashir, I think this would have been a much better episode.
Oh, I don't know what happened on the off hours. Because it's so interesting because Bashir is the one. Bashir, what's his name? The villain? No, the villain. Rao Vanka. Come on, the greatest villain ever. Rao Vanka as Bashir was the one who threw the bounty hunter lady from the balcony, right, in Quark's bar. Yeah. And then he's treating her in the very next scene. So you're like, well, the guy who threw her off can't be the one who's giving her medical attention, but it is, I guess. And so there's a lot of Rao Vanka and Bashir switching over, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Dr. Bashir, and Mr. Rao Vanka.
Why did he just kill her? Why would you just throw her? Like, kill her.
Because that's how you prove your point in a fight on TV or in a movie. You throw the person. You don't want to kill them, so you throw them.
The Cobra Kai spoilers?
Yeah, it makes no sense that she leaves him alive because she's the only one who's figured, like, if it wasn't for her, like, saying, no, Rao Vanka's back, Rao Vanka's going to do all these things, he would have got Vantica, whatever his name is. He would have got rid of it all.
He was
I
dangerous.
like Vanca better. I think it sounds better.
I just like that the episode just tells you that capital punishment is good, and that's all. Really, I mean, he was dead anyway, so you just kill him.
Bashir's
again.
dweeb,
I mean,
and that's kind of it. And we're in for an even worse episode next week. So hey, can't wait to get to that.
yeah, somehow next week's episode is going to be worse than this episode.
Much worse.
Okay.
And then the episode after that, I'm looking forward to, which is the Grand Nagus episode, the introduction of Wallace Shawn as the Nagus, which I'm excited for that. So hey, they're not all going to be good. And I'm also I was just watching a little Deep Space Nine season 2 today, and there was like an episode that came on I had never seen. So I'm like, I thought I'd seen every episode like 10 times, but maybe not. Maybe there's one I missed somehow. So I was like, Jane, we got to turn this off now. It didn't seem like it was a very good episode, but I'm excited to watch an episode I've never seen.
It's like a hidden gem. It's like a book
hidden gem.
read. Yeah,
you know, it's like when you find extra marshmallows in your Lucky Charms or whatever. You know, that's just a bonus.
So a cereal full of marshmallows, you find more marshmallows.
Mm-hmm. You don't need the oats. You just need the candy.
Whatever, man. I
impressed myself on that one, actually.
Yeah, I was just.
We gotta find one like later on where Bashir just like, I'm so funny, or just some whenever he compliments himself. We gotta get the soundbite.
I'm just gonna we'll be collecting Bashir talking about how great he is.
Yeah,
I'm also collecting Sisko yelling at his crew.
Right.
Kira yelling at everybody.
Yeah. You're just angry in general. Dax, I mean,
I don't know what Dax's thing is going to be.
Subtle burn. She's good at subtle burns. Like she's good, like mostly toward Bashir in this early.
No, Julian, I won't go on a date with you, but I will be on a first name basis with you, like, or whatever it is. Not that she has to date everyone she's on a first name basis with, but they obviously have a friendship, right? But she's not romantically interested in him. Friend zone. He's friend. It's not till Ezri. Ezri is the one who gives Bashir the second look. So,
but does she remember? Does Ezri remember all that rejection from
yeah? I'm sure that becomes a thing, because I think that they go on to become a long term couple, at least according to Ira Stephen Bear.
Right.
And so, yeah, like sure, like. There is kind of a long love story here between Bashir and Dax that's playing out in this first season. We don't think about it because it's Jadzia Dax and not Ezri Dax, but it's still Dax.
But is he trying to fuck the symbiote or Jadzia? I mean,
you heard his testimony last week. They're interchangeable. You can't distinguish one from the other.
I don't know. I think that's not what Sisko argued. Sisko argued it's a completely different person, but at the same time, was it the symbiote that did it? Or that wanted to get fucked, that didn't want to get fucked by Bashir, or was it? See, I'm starting to figure that the symbiote would have boned Bashir, but it was more like
Jadzia. Because you watched the episode last week when you get put.
I disagree with their argument.
There's a blending every time you get reblended, right? So if I take a margarita and I blend it up with a beer and I make a delicious beer garita, like that's different. But if I take that same mixture and now I blend it up with like strawberry daiquiri, it's not the same thing anymore, but it has the same stuff that used to be in the other thing.
I guess what I'm saying is I would have argued for the prosecutor's side. And that was a bunch of bullshit.
I don't feel like we really got a good shake on the Trill even after 7 seasons, because I'm not clear, like, even though we did get Ezri Dax after Jadzia, how is Ezri that different than Jadzia, other than she's a little bit more quirky and clumsy, I guess.
Well, that's what they
and not a fighter, whatever. But
yeah, like that's what they often do. Like if they have to differentiate, like they either make you super smart or they make you cute, quirky, clumsy. They
kind of on Dax was more of a whole different kind of.
Well, he was a guy, so I mean, it was a different. He was like this womanizing drunk, wasn't he? Kind of like was that what
nothing like Jadzia.
Right.
Anyway, we gotta figure out what Jadzia Dax's thing is. We know what Kira's thing is. Odo is just like being rude to people.
Surly.
And who are we say?
Yeah, but you like him, like
And O'Brien for me is just being snarky.
Can't have the operations chief sitting around daydreaming when there's work to be done, can we? I'll get right on it.
I think it's pretty clear everybody hates life. All the characters do not want to be there. Like they're like, is this? You kind of notice this with Voyager's crew and for the first season. They're like, is this gonna work? Because like I'm not so sure this is gonna work. I don't know if I like these people, which is kind of funny because they become families by the end of their 7-year runs. But at the beginning, I think they're like, am I gonna be like shooting like a different TV show next year? Is this show gonna?
Oh yeah, they have no idea that if the show's gonna be stick around for more than a season or not, and for sure they're all trying to figure out if this is gonna last. And based on everything, I remember at the time the show was not necessarily well received in the first season. I was a kid, so
DS9 kind of found its legs at that time.
To me, the show finds its legs in season 3, really, and I was trying to think what made season 3 different, and it's when Ronald D. Moore gets to the show.
Oh, I just usually say The Search. That's the reason.
Well, The Search, yes, but Ronald D. Moore he went from Next Gen, he joined Deep Space, and Brandon Braga went off to Voyager, and so. I just think, because I'm a big Ronald D. Moore fan, I'm a huge Battlestar Galactica fan, and I think he brought a whole different dynamic to that show, to this show, when he finally got there. Anyway, final thoughts. We should probably wrap it up.
They left a lot of meat at the table.
Mm-hmm.
This amazing villain that they did not give enough time to. This could have been like a multi-arc storyline for the entire show.
Yeah, it could have been. Right? Like if this Rao Venka thing had just been like something that had been planted weeks ago, yeah, we never thought about it.
Affects Kai Wynn, so Kai Wynn, sorry.
Yeah.
We just see him jump from body to body, and he tried to hunt him down. It's like, shots, we were so close.
Don't think about Kaiopaka. She's still around at this time.
Yeah, but it was, as I mentioned before, it's an okay episode. It's not truly offensive outside of Alexander Siddig's acting.
Yeah, and we know he does better episodes after this, like really good episodes, good scenes.
You see that, like, you aired that Quark Odo scene, and that's some primo writing and primo interaction that we're seeing.
Well, yeah, you can see what Armin Shimmerman is bringing to Quark, right? And you see what Alexander Siddig is bringing to Bashir this time.
Well, yeah.
And it's not on the same level.
That's why it got a 3 for me. All 3 points went to that Odo Quark scene.
Yeah. And maybe and Cisco yelling at that lieutenant.
Yeah, Cisco shooting Bashir. That got a point on its own.
I feel like that's a bonus point right there. I feel like I need to upgrade my point just for that.
Should have been a shrug and just go.
Yeah. No emotion on his face. Couldn't care less. He's not worried.
Yeah, I wish there had been a look of approval from Dax, like she gave after what's her name shot the thing.
Or
that would have been great.
Like, this guy sucks.
Tricorders.
All right. Okay. We're wrapping up. Thank you, Jeff and Jaemeel, and everyone listening and watching. Make sure to subscribe on Facebook, YouTube. We have audio out there. You know how to find us, I hope. Just everything's interlinked. Check out our other channels, Super Mater Brothers Podcasting. We also have Trivial Debates, which is like a debate fight show. We do that once a month. And also, we do many other podcasts here on Live Long and Podcast, including original series rewatches. We'll be back tomorrow night. We're not on our regular night tomorrow because I think somebody's got something else. So we're doing it tomorrow night. And it's going to be The Menagerie, the only 2-parter in the original series.
I gotta watch 2 episodes for this shit.
It's one podcast, 2 episodes. Think about that.
Oh god, that's a lot of TOS to watch, but I'll get on it.
But you've watched The Menagerie before?
I've seen it, but a long time ago.
It's decent. It's a good episode. It's a courtroom drama with lots of flashbacks.
Well, we know Star Trek does that well.
And on our Star Trek movie rewatch series on Saturdays, we will be here next on this Saturday. We are starting with Star Trek 2009. Chris Pine. We're in the home stretch here. The final 3 most recent movies.
I weep at the beginning of that movie. weep.
That movie
Why,
is
when the kid's
good.
driving the car.
No.
Oh no, you mean when his dad dies.
In Thor, when Chris Hemsworth is George Kirk.
That's a good scene. There's some good stuff in that movie. I mean, too bad Into Darkness, just much like The Last Jedi, took a big dump on the first movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I'm not a big. I don't. We'll talk about that on that podcast. But Into Darkness. No.
I heard Jaemeel with my Star Wars.
Yeah,
he either likes Into Darkness or he likes The Last Jedi. I'm not sure.
I like Last Jedi.
He likes Last Jedi.
He's a total Last Jedi guy. I can tell. I think Last Jedi is the best of those three movies.
I mean, I agree. Probably I should, because I really did not like the first movie. Walking out of it, the second movie I was actually less in. I just think there's some stupid things in Last Jedi.
There's some stupid.
I think
The
there's
ending's
a lot of
dumb.
cleaning up that had to be done.
Also, the ship going to warp and destroying the other ship or whatever, in jump speed or whatever. That's the dumbest part of the movie for me. But
It's Star Wars, like magical elves and laser weapon swords. It's let it roll off my back and everything like that.
Yeah, you have to. That third movie I watched that was unwatchable. I mean, that should never have been a movie.
That movie, I'm looking around, I'm like, does everyone else realize this movie is just garbage? And then I saw the kid's eyes like
Yeah.
it. My friend next to me, he was like, yeah. And I'm like, I guess it's just me.
It's not just
Yeah,
you.
no, people would come up to me after that movie came out and they go, "What you think?" And I go, "It was
great
awful.
movie, right?
It was not even a movie. It was a disaster.
It was
what
kind of like this episode that we just watched.
And they would look at me like disappointed because they want Star Wars to be good again, but I'm like, I can't lie to you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, it's hard.
My review of it was like, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Hey, if you like it, like
That's it. If you like
it was such like you have to be a big fan to like that movie. I just think you.
Hey, I know Supernatural's not the most well-made show, but I enjoy it. So I get it. I
You
understand.
can enjoy something that's not good, but the thing about Star Wars is that all the Star Wars guys are like, we are the king of the kings. We have the primo thing. We have Star Wars.
They spend the most
Disney
money on their
owns
movie.
we have the most money, the biggest money, and you have nothing.
And they can't write a simple script that's any good.
They have great scores.
Oh yeah.
I like how we just threw in some great we'll throw Star Wars under the bus right at the end of this Deep Space Nine podcast. Nobody will ever know.
Your account is just gonna go in the millions. All of a sudden, it's like
we're at the
podcast runs down Star Wars.
We're at the 72-minute mark. I'd be very surprised if anybody's still with us at this point, but maybe
here. I mean, God bless your heart.
Well, hey, look, I did kind of advertise this show just before coming.
Okay, hey. Well, we appreciate that. And I know we have no live viewers, but it doesn't mean you don't know how many people listen to it afterwards. So or see it
Go
afterwards.
back to the Twitch stream right after and kind of pimp that it was a great episode and they should listen.
Check it out. Just say we slam. What was that movie called? Rise of Skywalker. We slam Rise of Skywalker at the end.
Put that up on YouTube. So we slam Rise of Skywalker, but you got to make it 71 minutes to hear our take.
And these are the guys who know we have to watch the worst episode of Deep Space Nine next week.
Do you want to get through the worst episode of Deep Space Nine? Well, it's still better than Last Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. Whatever the hell it was.
Whatever it was.
Combine the name of it.
It's terrible. All right, guys. I think we have to sign off. We'll see you tomorrow night for the menagerie. Live long and podcast. Take care. Bye.
Look, I'm embarrassing myself.